Hello and a very warm welcome. In today's video, another rant participating on the channel. This has to stop, and it has to stop now. Formula 1 need to get this sorted massively. It was a shit show in 24. If this comes into 25, I am not going to be happy. Today we're going to talk about the penalty system, which is barbaric and corrupt. We're going to talk about the stewards, who are also corrupt, and the FIA, who are also corrupt. This has to be put in the bin and has to be addressed now, because I'm sick of the penalties, the stewards and the FIA getting media coverage. We don't actually talk about the race. We don't talk about the overtakes. We don't talk about the title. We talk about penalties. We talk about stewards. We talk about FIA. And there's going to be some idiot in the comments, you're talking about it now. Well done. Well done. Very good. 5 out of 5 on your test. I'm talking about it because it has to end now. It has to end. If this goes into 25, we're in big trouble. It makes F1 look amateurish. It makes F1 look shit. And the top and bottom of it, we give penalty after penalty after penalty. We want to mollycoddle the drivers, who 99% of the drivers are already robotic. So you want to mollycoddle them. You want to control them. Can't do this, can't do that. And yeah, we're going to run down. This has to change now. The penalties, the stewards and the FIA have to change going into 25. Otherwise, it's going to be another barbaric year. Some of the penalties last year were criminal. They're never penalties in a month of Sundays. And yeah, I'd be here all day if I went through every one of them. I've got some standouts. But yeah, 99% of drivers are robotic. And I believe this is what MBS, that corrupt FIA president, wants. They're robotic. The drivers literally are robotic. The penalties and the policing and control of everything has to stop. Let the drivers sort it out on track sometimes. Not every time, but like a penalty, for example, should be given to an incident like Max's at Mexico, the second one in particular. He had no intention of taking the corner. He just forced Lando off. That is a penalty. But then you go to other incidents like Kevin Magnussen at Gasly. For me, is the most corrupt bullshit penalty of the season. And literally, Magnussen ended up getting a race ban for that. He should have probably been banned earlier in the season. But to actually get a race ban for trying to overtake, this is what I mean. They're mollycoddling it. They're policing it. He's gone for an overtake, Gasly. Magnussen has gone for an overtake on Gasly. Gasly goes off. He keeps the position, yet Magnussen gets a penalty. And there was no gain from it. It was ridiculous. The most corrupt bullshit penalty I've seen in 2024. Yeah. The FIA president is corrupt. There's no doubting about it, and he needs to go immediately. He wants to police. He wants to control. The GPDA have sent him a letter, and he's basically just ripped it up and said, none of your business. Yeah, well, he is corrupt from top to bottom. The drivers absolutely hate him, and I believe it would be a good move if he was released from his role. Stewards and penalties, they get too much media. Johnny Herbert, Maya are biased. They can say what they want. They are biased. Anytime Max is under investigation, he gets a penalty. Why? Because Herbert's in the steward's room 99% of the time. He is biased. For me, I think that needs looking at as well. The stewards, we need 4 paid stewards to... I would keep the same 4. Now, it's never going to work because there's always going to be someone who's on the receiving end. Like Max fans, they think they're on the receiving end of Herbert's bias, and I would agree with them. But yeah, it can roll round. But I would get 4 permanent stewards who never change during the season, and they should be paid for their role. And that's how I would go about it. Yeah, I would actually put 4 stewards in there that just don't have any bias. Yeah. A good example. Who would be a good example? Kimi Räikkönen would be a good one, but no way he would do it. He does not give a fuck about anyone. Let drivers sort it out. Every penalty now, under investigation, it has to be like an incident is a penalty basically now. It's got to stop. It's corrupt. Magnussen and Gasly is the most corrupt penalty I've ever seen. It was so bullshit. And Magnussen actually ended up getting 2 points and a ban for that when he's trying to put an overtake. How many times do you want to say it at USA? George Russell received 5 seconds for putting an overtake on a slow Sauber. Bullshit. Yuki Tsunoda, the same, got 5 seconds. Bullshit. And Lando Norris ended up getting 5 seconds for overtaking off track. I mean, that could have been sorted straight away. Norris, give the place back to Max. Problem solved. But we need a massive investigation about it. Stewards, Herbert, Meyer, I've covered that. They need to replace him. I would get 4 paid stewards in there. Of course, it's probably not going to work perfectly, but we need something done with the stewards. And MBS has to go. Out, out, out. He's corrupt. I don't like him. I think he's poor for Formula 1. He doesn't make F1 look good. I mean, Max, also I've got written down, swearing in the press conference. How was the last race? Well, my car was fucked. Okay, for you saying your car's fucked, you now have to go to Rwanda, where the ceremony is, and you have to do a day of bullshit with a corrupt bastard that is MBS and a load of kids. Yeah. Brazil, fixed sprint race. Nico Hulkenberg on the side of the track. Lando Norris overtakes Oscar Piastri. Oh, what a surprise, the VSC comes out instantly. Yeah, not fixed at all by the great FIA. And then, literally in qualifying, Lance Stroll's in the wall. They wait 45 seconds to put a red flag out. Yeah, not bullshit at all. It needs to end. It needs to stop. There's serious talks needs to be had at this sport because it's not good enough. It is not good enough. The penalties, the stewards, and the FIA all need a big kick up the arse. The penalties, for me, get too much media coverage. Stewards get far too much media coverage. I mean, they're supposed to be impartial. We should never see the stewards. They're just four or five creatures behind a wall. They give penalties, we move on. FIA are corrupt. They always have been. They don't have Formula One's best interest at heart. F1 must change this, and they must change it now. If we go into 2025 with the same bullshit, where the drivers are policed, they can't swear, they can't show emotion, we'll have every driver robotic, the stewards get all the coverage instead of the drivers. What a great overtake, what a great race, Max, a world champion again. Oh, we got so many youngsters coming through in the sport, but we'll talk about the stewards, the penalties, we'll talk about FIA. Not for me. It needs addressing. It needs addressing now. Let me know what you think. I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. Enough is enough now. It's got to... Yeah, F1, the pinnacle of motorsport, and should have the best stewards, the best FIA, and a penalty system that's clear. Because the penalties are so inconsistent, it's a joke. I mean, the Magnussen Gasly one is the biggest insult to motor racing I can see. I still am baffled how he got a penalty for that, Magnussen. Gasly went straight on, kept the position, yet he got 2 penalty points, and obviously because he'd already racked up a load of points, he ended up getting a race ban for that. Wow. And because it's Kevin Magnussen, no one will say anything. It was a bullshit penalty. Get it called out. If that's Max or Lewis, one of my favourite lines coming in, if it's Max, Lewis or Alonso, massive media coverage. Why? Because they're world champions. And these great F1 fans see Kevin Magnussen as a nobody. Just like in real life, you know. People think they're above. No. Should be the same for every driver. Yes. Russell, Yuki, Norris, America, absolute dog shit. Bullshit. Max at Singapore getting a penalty for swearing is absolutely barbaric. Charles Leclerc swears, he gets a fine. Max has to go all the way to Rwanda. Oh, we want to save the planet here at the FIA. Max, getting your plane and fly absolute miles to Rwanda where no one actually gives a fuck about Rwanda. Oh, But I'm going there, MBS as I am. I'm going there to try and get us a street race. Fucking brains of Britain, aren't you, MBS? Out, 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 out.